Matt, could we have more of Abby's vocal in
Once
the
there
inners,
was a
please?
wealthy man preparing.
I can't hear myself either. Even if, yeah.
Cool, let's just play a chorus and then 1, 2, 3.
Even if I could deep, deep, deep down, and if I could fly, fly, fly high, in all of my good and bad days, nothing stands between us, nothing stands between us now. Oh.
Yeah. One.
Deep, deep, deep down.
Once there was a wealthy man preparing to leave on a long journey.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to St James in the City. It's really great to see you. Please feel free to grab a drink, and I don't know if there's anything else at the back, but grab yourself a drink, and then come on down to the front, and we're going to stand and sing our first song this afternoon, One Thing Remains. Would you like to stand?
Good afternoon. Welcome to St. James in the City. Do grab a drink and take a seat. Lovely to be with you today. Who is enjoying the summer? Lovely, lovely. I see some tans out there as well. Grace is cheering away, enjoying the summer. So welcome to St. James in the City. My name's Becky.
And my name's Helda. We are leading the all-age service today, so it's really good to have all of you with us today.
Yeah, it's nice to all be together as family. If you are sitting a little bit further back, do venture forward a little bit. I feel like I'm shouting all the way back to the back there. So we're going to have a great afternoon together. Naomi is preaching for us. We've got plenty of activities for our children and young people as well. But we thought we'd give a few notices to start off. So as this week is the 4 p.m, that means next week is the 10:30 only. So have that in your heads, 10:30 only next week.
And then the Sunday after that, we are going on a little picnic. It's in Sefton Park. So we're meeting at 12 p.m. So make sure you're bringing your packed bags, packed lunches, chairs, anything like that. And make sure you're arranging lifts with your Connect groups. And if you need a lift, just get in touch with St. James as well. Just speak to someone or drop an email, and I'm sure something will sort itself out.
That's right. We're going to be continuing our sermon series. Heaven is like ... And today we're looking at the parable of the talents.
Do you have any talents, Becky?
I do have a talent. I can roll my tongue.
Okay.
Can anybody else roll their tongue? I see some rolling tongues. Nicely done. Nicely done. Grace, can you roll your tongue? Oh, no, can't roll your tongue. Oh, Jacob can. Jacob can. Harry can. Excellent.
I mean, I can speak another language, so...
Oh.
I can speak Farsi. I can say a couple things. I can say, like, my name is, so, Esme man Hilde.
Very fancy.
Yeah, quite fancy.
Can you say hello and welcome to St. James in the City?
Salam و خوش اومدید به St. James in the City.
Excellent. Nice. Well, if anyone else can speak another language, do come and chat to Helder. So we're going to be finding out a little bit, not just what our talents are, but what all of our talents are here in this room. I'm sure some of you have some hidden talents that we've not quite discovered just yet. So with Focus, we had an amazing time, but some of us did leave some things behind. Some camping mats, some chairs, some bedding, and some cutlery. If that is you, then we have your things here at church, and it is just through to the back room in the tower. So you go past the toilets, and just in the back room, there's an array of things. Please only take what is yours. Don't fancy something and take that with you. Just take your own things away with you. That's going to be over the summer, so if you haven't already collected something, please do that before you leave. I've already rescued... Oh, there we go. It belongs to Titus and Meg if it's not collected next week. Fab.
We had such a great time in Focus, but we can't stand here all day and just tell you how great it was. So we have a little photo and a video, I think, and it's just going to show you all the experiences in Focus. So sit back and enjoy.
Let's go.
We had such a great time at Focus, as you guys saw on the video, and for all those that came, I hope you all enjoyed your time. And if anyone didn't come this year and from the photos you saw that it was a good time, make sure, if you want, you can book on now, or you can just speak to someone and they can just tell you about the experience and we can sort something out.
That's right. Okay, so now we're going to have our family worship. So if we stand up Children, young people, come to the front. Jake, come on, pal. Come on, just don't shake your head at me. It's good soil and nothing stands between us. You know this song.
Fingers.
We have got some talented action people in the room. Don't be shy. Grace and Jacob, I know. Oh, you can roll your tongue. Been practicing. There we go.
There's good, good soil in my heart, my heart. There is good, good soil in my heart. And the seed that you speak, I will treasure and keep. There'll be good, good soil in my heart. There's good, good soil. There's good, good soil in my heart, my heart. There is good, good soil in my heart. The seed that you speak, I will treasure and keep. There'll be good, good soil in my heart. You won't find me down on the dusty road, hanging around with the rocks and stones. Won't find me with the prickly thorns and winding weeds. I will live in the open space where water flows with love and grace, following each word you say to me. You give me all I need. There's good, good soil in my heart, my heart. There is good, good soil in my heart. The seed that you speak, I will treasure and keep. There'll be good, good soil in my heart. You won't find me down on the dusty road, hanging around with the rocks and stones. Won't find me with the prickly thorns and winding weeds. Oh, I will live in the open space where water flows with love and grace, following each word you say to me.
Well, you found out a little bit about mine and your talents, haven't we? Yes. But we thought we'd play a little bit of a game that finds out everybody's talents in the room. So, the wonderful... taking half the stage with her there. Sorry, Abby. The wonderful Naomi has produced a little bit of a sheet. Do you want to just grab one from the side there, Helder? As a little... Oh, Naomi's got one ready there to go. Thank you very much. So, you will all in a moment receive a little sheet like this, and you can see there's a little bit of a grid. Columns going down, rows going across. So we're going to have a little go at doing a bit of a hidden talent bingo, okay? Now, there are prizes to be won. The first prize is for the person to get one column filled, so a straight line down. The second prize is for the person who manages to fill a whole row, which is going sideways. And then the next prize is for a full house, every box to be filled. Now, Helder, you've said your talent, haven't you?
Yes, I've said my talent.
So, Helder's talent is speaking another language. So if this was me, I would go over to Helder with a pen, and she would write her name in the speak another language box.
Yes, I would.
Yes, she would. Excellent. But
Yeah.
I couldn't then ask Helder whether she's also been part of a choir, because I've already got Helder as one of my people. Okay. So those are the rules, aren't they? Do you want to just explain that again?
Yeah, so you can't go to someone twice for something. For example, Becky does gardening a bit. You do a bit, it's okay, a small bit, maybe. Let's pretend Becky does gardening. She does gardening. So I go up to her and I go, Becky, can you put your name? And she says yes.
Says yes.
I can't go up to her and then say, oh, she likes to also play board games.
That I do like.
Yeah,
that is true.
So you can't put someone's name down twice, only once.
Only once. And it has to be their writing in the grid. So how this is going to work, we're going to release you all in a moment with your sheet, with some pens, and you're going to go around and fill in first. You're looking for a column going straight down. Once you have filled in a column, you are to shout bingo as loud as you can. I haven't prepped the Matthews, but you're going to play some music. When someone shouts bingo, you're going to cut the music. Me and Helder are going to make sure that that is right before we award the prize. Then we will release you again. This time you've got to get a row going across. If you get a row first, you're shouting bingo as loud as you can. The Matthews are stopping the music. We're checking it out. And off we go for a full house. Do you think they've got it, Helder?
Yeah. And also, just to make sure, all kids, could you just make sure that you are with an adult during this activity, so that we just don't get confused? Just make sure you're with an adult if you are a kid.
Yeah, if you're with a kid, make sure you're with an adult. If you're an adult who's brought a kid, make sure you're with said kid. Great. Okay, Matthews, can we cue the music? Excellent. Off you go. You're filling in a column first, so going down. Spread out, don't just stay on your row. Make sure that you have a different name in a different box. We've had the bingo! Stop! Pause. Let's have a look. Is this right?
Please guitar.
Yeah. Okay, so we've had our first winner. Well done, Ethan. Okay, off you go. Now filling in a row as quick as you can. Music back on. We've got another bingo! Okay, let's have a look. Excellent. Okay, Ruthman, well done.
So all that's left now is a full house. So get
All
to
your
it, guys.
boxes, all your boxes. Off you go. Music back on.
Just a reminder, it is a full house.
Let's have a look. Henry is our winner.
Whoop, whoop.
Thank you.
Well done. Do take your seats. Do take your seats. I hope you've learned lots about one another. Maybe had a few surprises there. Some people who can play tennis. Maybe have not lived always in Liverpool before. Does gymnastics. I got asked that quite a lot.
Yeah.
I really can't do gymnastics.
You got
but
asked.
thank you for everyone who
Yeah.
thought that I could.
It's okay. We're now going to watch our Bible story video looking at the parable of talents.
Once there was a wealthy man preparing to leave on a long journey. He gathered his servants together and gave careful instructions on what to do while he was away. "I will be leaving you shortly and may not return for quite some time," he explained to them. "I am putting you in charge of my wealth so that my estate will continue to prosper even while I am away." So the master divided his wealth among his servants based on each one's ability to manage it. The first servant was given 5 talents. Each talent was equal to thousands of dollars. This servant took the sum of money given to him, and he immediately went to work, using what he was given to make more money. He knew this would please the master. His efforts produced 5 more talents. The second servant was given 2 talents. Not as much as was given the first servant, but still a great deal of money. This servant took what was given to him and, like the first servant, dutifully invested it to make more money. He too knew this would please the master. His efforts produced 2 more talents. The third servant was given 1 talent, less than the other servants, but still a good amount of money. This servant failed to see the value in the opportunity that the master had given him, and fearing any risk to it, promptly went out and dug a hole and buried it in the ground. Many days, weeks, and months passed, and finally the master returned. Eager to find out the condition of his property and wealth, he called his servants together to hear what they had done with what he had given them to manage. Each servant approached the master to give their report. The first 2 servants proudly showed their master that they had doubled what he had given them. The master smiled. "Well done, my good and faithful servants. You have been faithful with a few things. I will now put you in charge of many things." He added, "Come and let us celebrate." Then the last servant, who had been trusted with 1 talent, approached the master and accused him, saying, "You are a hard man to please, so in fear of you, I buried the money you gave me into the ground. Here is the 1 talent that belongs to you." The master was furious. "You wicked and lazy servant," he said. "I gave you an amount of property I knew you would be able to manage, but you did nothing with it. At least you could have put it in the bank to earn a small amount of interest. Now, you will lose your talent to the servant who gained 5. With that, the master took the only talent the servant had and cast him out of his household forever.
A bit harsh is right, Jake. Okay, so I'm now going to invite Hannah Munn up, and she's going to lead us in a time of prayer. Thank you so much, Hannah.
Jesus, thank you for the gift of summer, good weather, time of school, university and work. We acknowledge that summer can be filled with good things but also be a lonely time when without routine. Please give us safety as we travel and good company spending time with those close to us. Whatever our summer looks like, remind us that you are close. Help us to have grace to ourselves and find moments of joy. As thousands of students across the country await exam results with determined the next stage of their lives' development. We pray that you give them peace and reminder of them, of the bigger picture, neither entry requirements nor exam results, nor doubts, neither success nor failure, nor expectations, neither last-minute fears nor anxieties, nor anything else in life. We will be able to separate them from the love of God in this Christ Jesus our Lord. Lord, I am grateful for the gift that you have personally chosen for me. Please give me the courage and strength to invest my gifts, to grow our kingdom as you desire. I yearn to be like the first and second servants in the story, are eager to use well and will be given. Amen.
Thank you, Hannah, for the Bible reading. I'm just going to invite Sophia up to do our Bible reading. Sorry, for the prayer, I'm just going to invite Sophia up to do the Bible reading from Matthew 25 to 14. If you need a Bible, there's some on the side, and there's someone should be handing them out as well. So, Sophia.
Today's reading is taken from Matthew chapter 25, verse 14 to 30, the parable of the talents. Again, it will be like a man going on a journey who called his servants and entrusted his wealth to them. To one he gave 5 bags of gold, to another 2 bags, and to another 1 bag, each according to his ability. Then he went on his journey. The man who had received 5 bags of gold went at once and put his money to work and gained 5 bags more. So also the one with 2 bags of gold gained 2 more. But the man who had received 1 bag went off, dug a hole in the ground and hid his master's money. After a long time, the master of those servants returned and settled accounts with them. The man who had received 5 bags of gold brought the other 5. Master, he said, you entrusted me with 5 bags of gold. See, I have gained 5 more. His master replied, well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Come and share your master's happiness. The man with 2 bags of gold also came. Master, he said, you entrusted me with 2 bags of gold. See, I have gained 2 more. His master replied, well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Come and share your master's happiness. Then the man who had received 1 bag of gold came. Master, he said, I knew that you are a hard man, harvesting where you have not sown and gathering where you have not scattered seed. So I was afraid and went out and hid your gold in the ground. See, here is what belongs to you. His master replied, you wicked, lazy servant. So you knew that I harvest where I have not sown or gather where I have not scattered seed. Well, then you should have put my money on deposit with the bankers, so that when I returned I would have received it back within the interest. So take the bag of gold from him and give it to the one who has 10 bags. For whoever has will be given more, and they will have an abundance. Whoever does not have, even what they have will be taken from them, and throw that worthless servant outside into the darkness, where there will be weeping and gnashing of the teeth. This is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God.
Okay, if you are a child, we have got some very exciting crafts at the back. So Becky and Helda are on the back table. Give us a wave. If you would like to go and have a look, we've got a few different options. So head to the back and you'll find out more about what you're going to do. All right, everyone, good morning. For those of you that don't know, I'm Naomi. It's not my first time up here, but it's my first time speaking. I'm normally doing something a little bit more musical. So yeah, it's exciting to be here, and great to have everyone here this lovely afternoon. So we're talking about the parable of the talents. And the first thing I want to talk about is what we actually mean by a talent. As you'll have seen from that story, a talent in this isn't actually what we know as talents. We're talking about wealth, we're talking about money. In that video, it was the bags of gold, but we don't know what kind of wealth the man had. But the first thing I want to ask us is what are the talents representing for us as we look at this story? What does God entrust us with as the master entrusted those servants? So if we could have the slide, Matt. I was just sort of having a think about what different things God gives us. And obviously, he does give us money, the same way the master did to the children. But he also gives us skills and passions. We kind of talked about some of those in the games, the things that make us individual, the things that we have learned and picked up throughout our lives. We also have our spiritual gifts, things like prophecy and prayer, and evangelism and speaking in tongues. We have our faith. It talks about in that same passage about the spiritual gifts, some people being given a measure of faith. We've got our connections, the people that we know through our work, through our friendships, our relationships. Some of us will have lots of time. Some of us won't have as much time, and that's okay. And then finally, like the places, where we're working, where we're going day to day. These are all things that we can use for God and in our lives. And even though some of you might look at yourself and think, what are my skills? What are my talents? I don't really know. I don't know what I can use. Our lives are so full and so rich with these things that we can use for God. And some of them are more obvious, like I'm quite fortunate in that, one of my skills is sort of singing and playing piano, which is very easy to use in church, whereas if we were in a parallel universe where I don't know, we played football every Sunday morning, I would probably be sat here feeling very useless. So, it's a really good thing to sort of look at ourselves and think about maybe skills and resources that God's given us that maybe aren't so obvious. So in this story, we've got three main characters. We've got the master, who is kind of representing God. We've got the servants who invest their wealth and produce a profit. And we've got the servant who hides his wealth in the ground and kind of gets rebuked by the master. And so the first character I want to have a look at is the master. And a few things really stood out to me when I was reading this. I just think it's such like a fantastic parable of how God sees us and how he entrusts us with things to use. The first thing that really stood out to me is the way that each servant is given something different. It says he assigns the wealth according to the servant's ability. And I think that's such a reassuring thought, that God doesn't give us more than we can handle. Sometimes I can feel a bit nervous about stepping out into something in case, I'm overwhelmed, and what if I mess up? There was definitely a lot of that sort of agreeing to stand up here today of, what if I have a mental breakdown and start crying on stage? Luckily, it's fine. Tear ducts are dry so far. But I just think it's so reassuring that, God promises to only give us what we can handle and what we can manage. And I also think it's so good the way the master deals with each servant one at a time. It can be very easy, especially when we're thinking about talents, to compare ourselves to other people, to other churches, to other believers. And yet the master doesn't do that at all. He doesn't come back from his trip and say, right, who's earned the most? Show us what you've got. He literally deals with one servant at a time, giving them an individual amount of wealth and praising them individually. And I think it's really important for us to remember that God sees us and sees our journey and sees, our lives through that single view lens. He's not comparing us to the people that have gone before or the people that are alongside us. He's just looking at, what we're doing. And I also love just how open his instructions are. It says he gives them the wealth, but doesn't tell them what to do with it. He doesn't tell them how much profit he's expecting. And I think it's the same for us. We live in this amazing time in history where we have so many options. You can pursue almost any career you want. You can go almost anywhere you want in the world. You can do all kinds of hobbies. And sometimes we can lose sight of how wide and colourful and free our world is. And it's quite good to just sort of step back sometimes and think wow, God, you've given me all these different options. And if something's not working, maybe it's time to step into something new and to try something different. The next character I want to have a look at is that third servant, because I think he's the one that really stands out. And a really key line in this story is what he says to the master when the master comes back from his travels. He says, "I knew that you were a hard man, so I was afraid. And I went out and I hid your gold in the ground." And that's the key of the story, really. It's a story all about faith versus fear. And so the first thing we can see about this third servant is that he fears his master. He looks at this, kind, generous, trusting master who has left all his wealth in the hands of these servants, and yet he only views him as this hard master to be feared. And I think some of us can kind of get caught up in that mindset of God, of being this sort of far off person to fear. And it's really good to sort of examine our own perceptions and think, are we viewing God through the lens of his word and his promises, or are we kind of becoming biased by the people, in our experience? Because it's so easy to kind of have your mindset clouded by, your own life. But you've got to kind of keep going back to those promises, going back to God's word, going back to the things that we know are true about him, and make sure that you're seeing him through that perspective. The other thing we can notice about this servant is that he just has no appreciation of the value of what he's been given. And I was really interested in what a talent is actually worth, as a unit of wealth. And oh my word, guys, my mind was blown. So apparently, I hope this is correct, but one talent was worth about 20 years' wages. So if we take that to present day, we say the average wage is £30,000. We're talking £600,000 for one talent. So this servant, if you imagine being given something that's worth £600,000 and burying it in the ground, he must just have no idea of the absolute treasure that he's got. And this really reminds me of the parable that Lucia was talking about last week with the treasure in the field, where it was so precious that these people would sell everything they have for that treasure. And again, we can see that this servant just isn't appreciating the amazing thing that this master has given him. And then the final thing that we can see about this third servant is that he doesn't work with other people. He's not willing to trust other people. He won't even trust it to the bank. He's so scared of anything bad going wrong that he hides it away. And I think this one was a real challenge for me, because it can be very tempting when you want something to go right, to kind of feel like you have to have control and you have to do it yourself. And yet we don't see growth in the kingdom of God and in the church unless we're willing to share with other people and to work with other people and trust the valuable things we have to the people around us. And in fact, I want to have a look at that line a little bit more, where the master says, well then, you could have at least put my money on deposit with the bankers so that when I returned, I would have received it back with interest. And so I was kind of thinking, what does that mean? What's the practical equivalent for us of depositing with the bankers? And I thought it really came back to that idea of trusting what we have to other people, investing in other people. We have all these things that we can use for ourselves, but even if you don't have the confidence to use that skill or to use that talent or to use that, connection for yourself, you can at least invest in other people and support them and disciple them to maybe use what you've been given instead. And again, just that being willing to trust other people and work together. Now, this story ends on quite a harsh note. Let's just have a look at that last line. So it says, "For whoever has will be given more, and they will have an abundance. Whoever does not have, even what they have will be taken from them. And throw that worthless servant outside into the darkness, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth." Now, talking about this analogy of talents, as skills and talents and gifts, the analogy kind of falls short when we get to this line, because I just want to make it really clear that God does not throw us out of his kingdom for not using our talents, for not using our money for him. Yes, it's great if we do those things, but that is not the gospel. The gospel is not, do good works or you're out, thankfully. But I think the reason the servant is treated so harshly is because he shows a complete lack of faith. He sees the master with fear. He's so scared of failure that he won't even trust people around him. He has no growth mindset at all. He's not open even to the idea of trying. He just buries it in the ground. And so I think when we're looking at why this servant is treated so harshly, we've got to look beyond, he doesn't use his wealth for the master, and go to kind of what's the deeper problem here. And I think, it ultimately comes down to that verse in James where it talks about faith without deeds is dead. It's not his works that are the problem. It's the heart that it shows. It's the fact that it shows he doesn't have that faith in the master. He doesn't trust, that what he does can never go right, so he won't even try. And so it is really challenging for us that, yes, we don't want to be a people that focus too much on works, but ultimately, if our faith and our heart and our relationship with God is in the right place, it will naturally work its way out in our lives, and we will see that growth, and we will see, treasure coming out. Maybe not the same treasure as in the story. So we're coming towards the end, but one thing that I was thinking about this story was that I wished there was a fourth servant who maybe tried to invest his money and ended up failing. Maybe he did a poor investment that fell through. And I'd like to think that the master would have been still just as pleased with that servant for trying. But the more I thought about it, and I was thinking, I wonder why Jesus didn't include that fourth servant in the story. I think it comes down to the fact that Jesus was telling this story to build faith. And he was trying to get the message across that if you're willing to put your trust in God, to put your trust in the master, to use the wealth of things that he has given us, success is inevitable. And that's why he didn't include a servant who tried and failed. He only included two servants who tried and saw, amazing things happen. And so I think it's really important for us, as we might feel a bit anxious and discouraged about putting ourselves out there, that we try and allow this story to build our faith and remind ourselves that God does promise to be there with us. So I'm just going to leave us with a few questions, because we've talked a lot about this story, but I really want us to have the chance to kind of bring it back to our own lives and think about, what does it mean for us? What do we want to leave here thinking about? So I've just got a few questions on the board, and I wonder if maybe the band want to come up and start playing, and we're just going to have a bit of time to kind of think about some of these on our own. Obviously, if you've got someone with you that you want to chat to about, you absolutely can. But, don't be afraid to just sit and have a bit of quiet, thoughtful time. And there'll also be some people over here if you want to pray as well. So I want you to think about your view of the master. Do you look at God the way that third servant did, with fear, with feeling that pressure of, I'm so scared to even do anything in case I mess up? Or do you have that confidence to take joy in using what he's given us. I want you to have a think about whether you're putting your faith into action. Again, are you like that third servant who has the wealth but just keeps it to themselves? Or are there things in your life where you're putting your skills and your time and your talents into action? You're stepping out in ways that are maybe a bit risky and do make you feel a bit uncomfortable. What gifts and skills and places and people has God entrusted you with? And then finally, where would you like to see growth in your life? So we're just going to have a little bit of time to kind of think over those. Feel free to chat to someone next to you. Feel free to come over for prayer. And then we're going to finish with some worship.
If you'd like to stand.
and I will rest in your promises. My confidence is your faithfulness, and I will rest in your promises. My confidence is your faithfulness, and I will rest
We know that God has been up to some stuff today. As we were sort of praying before the service, we were just asking God to just reveal some talents to you. Maybe you've kind of put them and hidden them, put them somewhere out of sight. And God's asking you to bring that back out, to use it to grow his kingdom. And maybe somebody else has told you that you can't use that talent, or that's to be hidden, or that's not to be used within church. Well, God's saying, no, use it for my glory. Use it to grow my kingdom. I've entrusted you with this. I've entrusted you in the place that you are, with the people that you are, with the gifts that I have given you. And then the last one was about our church plant that's coming soon with St. Mary's. And I just kind of felt quite excited about what God was going to do. There's lots of talents here in this church, lots of talents here at St. Mary's. One church, multiple sites, all that God is going to do. Let's not hold back, but let's use what's been entrusted within us. Let's ask God for some more gifts. You know, God is a father who wants to give good gifts to his children. If there's something that you want, do ask him. There's going to be a few of us at the side praying at the end. Do come up to the front or grab the person next to you before you leave. If you want prayer, don't leave this place without being prayed for.
Our service next week is at 10:30 only, and there should be some pizza at the back. So,
He's out to get
well, I've just been informed that it is on its way and it's coming. So just hang about if you want and grab some pizza later on. But enjoy the pizza, which is coming, and we will see you next Sunday.
I just maybe felt like, while we're waiting for the pizza, and it's not compulsory at all, but I'm just going to stay up and just carry on worshipping a bit more. If anyone feels like they just want to take this time out of the service now. So feel free to go and enjoy the pizza or the refreshments, but we're just going to stay up here worshipping a little bit. And we might not have the words on the screen, but it shouldn't really matter. So yeah, we're just going to stay here. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art! How great thou art! Then sings my soul. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. And how great thou art, and how great thou art. Then sings my soul. to